What's up? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Uncle Fred coming at you once again, back in the crib, just hanging out. Just got finished watching some good Thursday night football, and just gonna give you an update on that and what was a great game. And of course, didn't go the way I thought. Your boy is 0-1 for the week. Go ahead and hit that like and that subscribe button, and go ahead and jump in this thing and uh, become a part of the Uncle Fred experience. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And I promise to continue to give you the best content available in the sports world. And I'll continue to do that. But go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody you know about Uncle Fred, what Uncle Fred doing over here. All right, let's get this thing cranked up. So it's about 7 o'clock. This thing kicked off in a State Farm Arena in Glendale, Arizona, with the 6-1 Green Bay Packers versus the 7-0 Arizona Cardinals. And of course, right off the bat, we knew that Green Bay was going to be hampered because they didn't have any of their top three receivers. We already knew Devontae Adams is out for protocols. We also know that Alan Lazard is also out for protocols, close contact, and all that sort of stuff. But also Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who was supposed to be a game-time decision, he was not available. So they had some other guys they threw to, like Amari Rogers and Cobb and Aaron Jones and people like that, and St. John's. I'm like, who is these guys? So this will probably go in the long line of lore for Aaron Rodgers, because he was able to overcome all of those injuries and beat an undefeated team on the road. I mean, that's just another feather in his cap, another win in prime time, which he's like 7-0 or something like that. So I guess you can call it a bad man. He's a bad man, as Stephen A. likes to say. But there were other things that led to this victory. So let's go ahead and get it started. We know that first of all, Arizona, there was a couple of series of punts. Stadium was rocking, it was electric, and so after a couple of punts, Arizona got the ball and they drove and they went 75 yards and in 8 plays, culminating in a 11-yard run by Trace Edmonds. And so it was 7-0, 7-0 Arizona. And then so it took a while for Green Bay to finally get their offense on track. And so they responded, and they went on a 14-play, 75-yard drive, taking up 8 minutes and 23 seconds. And that kind of was the key to them winning, because what Green Bay was going to have to essentially do is just play ball control with Arizona. Because if they tried to go up and down the field, try to throw it every down, they was going to play right into Arizona's hands. And you want to keep Kyler Murray and that explosive offense off on the field. So in this particular drive, they went 14 plays, 75 yards, and 8 minutes and 23 seconds. And then culminated in a 2-yard run by Aaron Jones that made it 7-7. Okay. And then subsequently, after a series of punts, Arizona had a punt that was deflected by Rondale Moore. He thought that he got away from it, but it touched his fingers. And so Green Bay took over on the 8-yard line, but they weren't able to move it even 1 yard. So they ended up kicking like a 30-yard field goal. So it was 10-7. Okay. And that's what it was at halftime. It was 10-7 at halftime. And so second half, the ball game starts. Arizona gets the ball first. They go a couple of plays, and Kyler Murray throws a inexplicable pick, and so Green Bay takes over at the 14. They go 5 plays, and he hits A-Rod hits Randall Cobb with a 2-yard touchdown pass. Next thing you know, it's 17-7. And I'm like, whoa, Green Bay might just win this thing going away, because it looks like they had gotten the turnover that they needed, and they were able to. And really, when you play the ball control game, all you really need is a stop or two, and then you put your offense right back on the field against that defense that had just given up a 70, 80-yard drive, and they're tired. And that's how you wear teams out. And so, but I like how Arizona responded to that, because they responded in their own way with their own 12-play, 81-yard drive, culminating with a 2-yard run by James Conner. That made it 17-14. But then Green Bay took out the rest of the quarter on their drive, going on a 12-play, 91-yard, 6-minute and 26-second drive of their own. The third quarter ended with them having a 3rd and 5 at the Arizona 6-yard line, and 3rd and 5 at the Arizona 6, and Aaron Rodgers hits Randall Cobb again with a 6-yard touchdown pass, and it's 24-14. So they got them 10 points, a 10-point cushion right back. And so I'm like, well, maybe it's just Green Bay's day, but I like Arizona's resolve, because they came right back with 11-play drive of their own, 11 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So they kind of adopted more of that ball control, because once you find out that you can get the short passes, keep the chains moving, eventually you wear defenses down, and that's a tool, rather than trying to go 50 yards, 30 yards, on plays and stuff like that, and then don't get them and end up punting, and then so if you just implement the high percentage, throw the ball to the backside of the backfield, your short gains, your 8-yard passes, utilize the running game more. That's high productivity, high efficiency offense. That's you might call it old school, but that's the way to get it done. And a lot of these high flying offenses have been brought to the ground by a ball control power offense. This is how you do it. So Arizona went on a 11-play, 75-yard drive of their own, just like I said, culminated with a 9-yard run by James Conner. So that made it 24-21. And then this is when the game got real interesting. Okay, it's 24-21, but it's like 8 minutes left in the game. Okay, 8-9 minutes left in the game. So what Green Bay does, okay, they take over, all right, at their own 25-yard line, all right, and they go on a 13-play, 74-yard drive, taking up 7 minutes and 22 seconds off the clock. Okay, and they get it 2nd and goal from the 3. They get a pass interference, puts the ball on the 1-yard line. So it's 1st and goal from the 1. So I'm like, yeah, that's with it, because it's getting down past the 2-minute warning. They get this touchdown. That's Katie barred the door. Okay, because that would make it 31-21 is what it would make it. And with 2 minutes to go, they'd have to score twice. So on 1st down, Aaron Rodgers off left tackle in the end zone, touchdown. I'm like, that's it. That's ball game. Well, let's take a look at that. And upon further review, it was determined that he did not get in. So it becomes 2nd and goal from the 1. Okay. So they run it to Aaron Jones again, and this time he gets stuffed. He actually loses a half a yard. So then it becomes 3rd down. And then these are the kind of things that I've been getting on Aaron Rodgers about, because for some reason he was lollygagging, getting the play in, and before he could get the ball snapped, delay a game. Now it's back to the 5. Just 3rd and goal from the 5. Now you ain't on the goal line. So couldn't find anybody open on 3rd and goal, so he takes off running. Wish he'd have done that in the NFC Championship game. Maybe they'd have been in the Super Bowl instead of Tampa Bay, but I digress. He takes off and he gets down to the 1-yard line, back to where he was, got back that penalty yard. So now it becomes 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Do they try the same? Do they go Aaron Jones again? No. Play fake. Going to Randall Cobb, and is intercepted by Rasul Douglas in the end zone. I'm sorry. I got my 2 things mixed up. It was incomplete. He was going to Randall Cobb. I'm sorry. it was incomplete, extended for Randall Cobb. So Arizona gets the ball first down on the 1 yard line. Okay. And with about 2 minutes to go. But they're 99 yards away, but they only need about 75 of that to get a reasonable field goal. All right. But they're on their own 1 yard line. So they go on a 12-play, 94-yard drive. Now, remember, they only need a field goal. So once Kyler Murray breaks off a 9-yard run down to the 9-yard line in his first and goal from the 9-yard line, and then it becomes second and goal from the 5. Now remember, they only need an end zone. They only need a field goal. So this is a chip shot field goal, but they're thinking touchdown because they want let's go for the win. So he shoots a pass into the end zone intended for AJ Green and is intercepted by Rasul Douglas. And Green Bay kneels on the ball at the 1 yard line, and I'm like, wow, really? It comes to that, really? So at the end of the game, there was a 74-yard drive that ended at the 1 yard line, and then there was a 94-yard drive that ended at the 1 yard line. Nobody scored. Okay, so it was a bunch of, like a roller coaster, a bunch of bumpy rides and up highs and down lows. But at the end of the day, you really didn't go nowhere. You were right where you started at about 9 minutes to go. But it was a heck of a ride. But Green Bay wins that thing 24-21 in a very good game. And because there were so much sustained drives in the fourth quarter, there were really only 2 possessions in the fourth quarter because each team was able to sustain the ball and drive, the length of the field, and take up 4-5 minutes per drive. And so, you only got 15 minutes, And see, one of those drives that the Green Bay was 7 minutes, and the drive subsequently of the Cardinals was three minutes and some change. So that's roughly almost 11 minutes right there off of a 15-minute clock. And then they had a 4-minute drive before that was the beginning of the quarter. So it was only like 3 possessions in the whole fourth quarter. Green Bay had it twice. Arizona had it once. And, but that was a good game. And they can call Aaron Rodgers a bad man or whatever you want because of what was the culmination of the game was the Green Bay, an improbable win against a team that was undefeated in their home building. He was 22 of 37 for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Didn't make any mistakes. And the fact that he was able to navigate these inexperienced receivers into nice short high percentage passes to get them into, and utilize the running game because A.J. Dillon had 75 yards and Aaron Jones had 59 yards, but he also had 51 yards receiving. So the short pass, the running game, and keeping the chains moving, keeping that high-powered offense off the field. That's how that was at. And then, of course, Kyler Murray making 2, ill-advised throws. One that kept points off the board, and another one that gave Green Bay a touchdown, in the beginning of the second half. So those two costly turnovers, 2 costly interceptions, and the fact that Green Bay was able to move the ball and methodically move the ball in short increments and keep the chains moving was the reason Green Bay won that game. Kyler Murray was not too bad. Otherwise, I think he was 23 for 33 for 274 and 2 interceptions. And but they only ran the ball for like 74 yards and threw for 260. So Green Bay wins. They're 6-1. Then so they're 6-1 also, or 7-1. I think Green Bay had a boss. I think they're 6-1, 7-1. They're both 7-1. I'm sorry, they're both 7-1. So the ranks of the unbeaten are done, and that's the popping of the cork of the remaining members of the 72 Miami Dolphins team, the last and the only team that have ever finished their season and the postseason undefeated. And so, guys, your record stands. It's still good. So for that, I don't know how many of them guys are still left. But anyway, there's some other NFL news we want to talk about, and so your boys are off to an 0-1 start for the week. So nothing like starting off the week, of NFL games 0-1. You already in the hole that I got to climb my way out of. All right. But anyway, some other NFL news that we want to bring to you now. This Washington football team situation just won't go away. Now it's determined today the attorneys for the former Washington football team employees reject the NFL stance. Remember, it was reported to you on yesterday that Roger Goodell had basically said everything's done, nothing to see here. Essentially, that's what he was saying. And we're not going public with any reports because we want to protect the anonymity of all the people that came to us in confidence, and we want to protect their privacy. So the lawyers for the people who were filing this suit or warranting this investigation, the attorneys for some of the former Washington football team employees rejected NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's reason for not making the investigation into the organization public, saying in a letter that their clients wanted anonymity, but also a written report. Goodell said at a news conference at the league meetings on Tuesday that they did not release a written report into the nearly year-long investigation of the organization and owner Dan Snyder because some of those who were interviewed wanted anonymity, and therefore no public reports came forth. But in a 2-page letter, Lisa Banks and Deborah Katz, who are the attorneys for the Washington football team employees, stated that their clients, the clients they represent, is 40 women, made allegations of sexual harassment and workplace conditions while working for the Washington football team, wanted only protection. They wanted the findings released. Okay. And so the letter stated, while many who came forward feared retaliation by Snyder and therefore requested their names be kept confidential, they never envisioned that all of their efforts and the efforts of Beth Williams and the other team would result in no written report coming forth of the findings and no real accountability for Dan Snyder of the Washington the Washington football team. They said had they known that, they would have never even participated because we went all through all this and all these painstaking interviews and all this stuff, and it's almost like pulling teeth. And sometimes you got to relive horrifying, ordeals that you've had to experience. And just for them to just say, "Oh, well, only thing we found is these off-color remarks by John Gruden. We're gonna take care of John Gruden." Wait, no, we don't care about no daggum John Gruden. We care about Dan Snyder, Bruce Allen, and them guys. But somehow they getting the pass, So I feel their pain. Beth Wilkinson provided a verbal report to the NFL of her findings. There were over 150 people interviewed. And during the investigation, and the NFL fined Washington $10 million for its toxic workplace culture. And Snyder said at the time that he would step aside from the day-to-day operations of the franchise in favor of his wife, Tanya. Banks and Katz wrote that Goodell misrepresented the wishes of their clients and likely those of other women and men who, risked what, getting fired, risked reprimanding, whatever, to come forward. They risked all that to come forward and really to get nothing. And they once more urged Goodell to release the findings. They said once that happens, the public can determine whether the actions taken against the Washington football team, what they've already done, was appropriate or not. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that. So that this thing just kind of keeps on going here because you got some people who said, "Hey, I came forward. I ain't trying to get no anonymity. I ain't trying to. I don't want you telling my name, but I want the report. You can cite the report without leaving my name." People that have done investigations and had the people in testifying and having them blacked out where you can't see them, but their testimony comes forward. There's ways to do that, but they just trying to protect folks that they want protected. Just like what I was talking to y'all about last night. So, but anyhow, that story is interesting. That's what you gonna do with that, right? So anyhow, you got that going on, and then here's the Deshaun Watson story, which that keeps going on too. As we know that as I told you yesterday, the Carolina Panthers are no longer in pursuit or looking towards Deshaun Watson to fill their quarterback needs, because they sure need one, because Sam Darnold ain't getting it done. But anyhow, as I reported to you yesterday, that the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans, according to the Houston Chronicle, already have a deal in place. And Stephen Ross is basically he's kind of working his deal on both ends. Wants to hear from Roger Goodell about, hey, what further sanctions are y'all kind of do? Is he gonna get on the commissioner's exempt list, or and then what kind of punishment is he gonna face once this thing comes out? Because we know that but what Goodell was saying, but see, he's not consistent, because many other times they didn't wait for the legal process to play out. They got their pound of flesh anyway, and then they said whatever the legal people do is what they do. But now he seems to be saying that he wants the legal process to play itself out. So basically, Deshaun Watson kind of twisting in the wind. So what Stephen Ross was encouraging Deshaun Watson to do, and he was unwilling to do so, was he was encouraging him to cop a plea and just make it all go away. So basically what that means is, and because we know in history there have been a lot of people who've had situations that happen, and a lot of times it wouldn't be due to something that individual had done, but the headache that comes from the public scrutiny and the long law process, and you're going to and from trial and all this testimony, all these different things, your name getting drugged through the mud and all this kind of stuff, and you got to pay all these lawyers for all this time. This dude Busby that's representing, I guarantee he's going to be getting probably $500,000 or more to represent him, if not more than that, probably several $1 million to represent him. So this thing is dragging all out. So a lot of times the celebrity would just opt to just cop a plea to say, hey, you know what, and just say, hey, I'll give you X amount of money. Just be quiet. This thing never comes up again, or whatever. And a lot of times they'll have, and see, a lot of times people think that's an admission of guilt, but it's not really an admission of guilt. You just want the thing to go away because it's more trouble than it's worth. But Deshaun Watson is adamant that, I've done nothing wrong here, and I'm not going to cop to something that I haven't done just to make, But I understand where Stephen Ross is coming from and said, look, man, because if I give up all these draft assets and, first round picks or second picks and all these sorts of things and players and stuff and current players and different things, and swap or whatever, in order, because, they got to give up some current players they got as far as draft capital in order to get him. I want some assurances that you're going to be able to play. And considering I already got a capable quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa on my roster that I can already, and by chance is playing some of his best football. That's is what it is. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. But yeah, he wanted Deshaun Watson to basically come to some sort of agreement with those people, all 23 of those women. Maybe, give them $1 million a piece. That's $23 million. I'm like, okay, if you half me on that, I ain't gonna give them 20. That's a different thing. So I'm not gonna speak as though I know if he's done this or not, because I don't know, because we really never know these people. Some of these people can have the best, the most spotless and reputations, and you come to find out, like, wow, I didn't really know that they were like that. It's like Gruden. I didn't know he thought like that. I didn't know he was like. I just thought he was a smart alecky guy. I didn't know he was like that. But you never really know these people. So anyhow, so that's all there is on that on the major news. And then the other news was Mike Tomlin. one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. As we know, in the college ranks, there's a couple of high-profile collegiate jobs that are open right now. One at Louisiana State University, otherwise known as USC, and University of Southern California, otherwise known as USC. And I think it was due to one of the alumni of USC, former Heisman Trophy winner, first pick, number 1 draft pick, Carson Palmer, saying that that's one of the guys wouldn't mind hunting down as the coach of USC would be Mike Tomlin. So that has got all of the media, a buzz. So at the next press conference, they talk to him, say, "Hey, what is it about this job? You thinking about taking the job at USC?" And of course, Mike Tomlin, the most matter-of-fact coach there is, he said, "Look, I got the best job in sports, one of the best jobs in sports right now, being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers." Now, me as a 50-something-year-old individual know that as long as I've been hearing and reading and watching the Pittsburgh Steelers ever since the 70s, they've only had 3 head coaches: Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. And Chuck Noll coached from 1969 to 1992. Bill Cowher coached from 1992 to 2007. Mike Tomlin coached from 2007 to present. Okay. So in 50 years, they've had 3 coaches. All right. So yeah, that's one of the most stable jobs, one of the most stable ownerships that there is. So the Rooney family is one of the best, organizations, the coaches and ownerships to work for, and they work with you. They're patient with you. Some of these other teams will kick you out when you have a bad season. But the thing about it is, and I can understand why he was upset. He says, "Look, man, I ain't looking for no jobs nowhere. Ain't a booster with a blank check that can get me to look at no other jobs." He said, "Now, so I'm going to nip this in the bud, not just today, but going forward. Ain't got time for that foolishness. All right, I'm with you, Mike. Tell your piece. Tell your truth." And then he goes on saying, and then again, you think the fire's over with. He's like, "I don't see y'all asking Andy Reid about no college jobs. He ain't asking Sean Payton about no other jobs." No, he was getting at with that. Because really, them are his contemporaries, and they're basically on the same level as him. They all got 1 Super Bowl win. Andy Reid got 1 Super Bowl win, 2 Super Bowl losses. And Sean Payton got 1 Super Bowl win. Okay, but he's also had 3 or 4 losing seasons. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in his 15 years coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's compiled a record of 145, 78, and 1, which is a .650 winning percentage, which was I think the second best winning percentage over the last 15 to 20 years. Okay. It's the second longest tenured head coach in the NFL. So it goes Belichick, it goes Mike Tomlin, and it goes Pete Carroll, and Sean Payton, and then Pete Carroll. Sean Payton been there since 06, 05, 06. So he's been there like 16. He's been there 2 years longer than Tomlin. So really it goes Belichick, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, and actually Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll, has been there like 12 years. So anyway, and nobody asking Pete Carroll, does he want to go back to USC? Because they're not doing too well right now. They're 3 and 5, 3 and 4, 3 and 5, something like that. 2 and 5. I'm sorry. So anyway, so that's all on the football news. That's all we got. Hopefully, we look forward to a great week 8 in the NFL and see what's going on with this coming week. Hopefully, it's a great week. And hopefully, my picks come out well. And hopefully, it's the only blemish there is on it. So anyhow, that's all I got for you today. Y'all keep watching. Continue to hit that like and subscribe. Join in the Uncle Fred experience. I promise you won't be disappointed. That's all I got from the desk of Uncle Fred. Good night. God bless.